she texted me again, saying she'd be home late. I stared at the message, the words blurring together. Lately, every excuse she gave felt like a rehearsed line, something she'd memorized to get through the day. When I asked where she was, she always claimed she was at the office, but the tone of her voice over the past few weeks told a different story. It was hollow, distant. I opened our chat history and scrolled back through months of conversations. The change was so obvious, a slow but steady decline from warmth to polite detachment. I couldn't believe I hadn't seen it sooner. The sweet nothings were replaced by one-word replies. The inside jokes vanished. It was like reading the slow, painful death of our connection. That night, something inside me broke. I decided to check her location. It wasn't something I ever thought I'd do, but the gnawing uncertainty was eating me alive. The map pinged, showing her car parked in a quiet, residential neighborhood miles away from her office. My heart sank, a heavy stone dropping into a dark well. I think a part of me already knew, but seeing it on the screen made it real. I didn't confront her right away. I needed more than a suspicion. I needed certainty. The next evening, like clockwork, she said she had to stay late again, another important meeting, she claimed. I played along. I told her I hoped it went well. She replied with a quick heart emoji, a gesture that once meant everything but now felt cold and empty, a digital lie. I opened the location app again. Same neighborhood, same street. This time, I couldn't just sit at home. I had to see it for myself. I got in my car and drove, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I parked at the corner, my car hidden in the shadows, and watched her car sitting outside a house I'd never seen before. I waited. Every minute felt like an hour. I was hoping, praying that I was wrong, that there was a reasonable explanation. But then after 20 minutes, the front door opened. She stepped out, followed by a man I'd never seen before. He put his hand on the small of her back, a gesture so casual, so proprietary, it made my stomach churn. Then she laughed. It was a genuine, carefree laugh, the kind she hadn't shared with me in months. They hugged, a long, lingering embrace before she got into her car and drove off. I just sat there in complete silence as something inside me just shut down. The anger, the sadness, it all just turned into a profound emptiness. The next morning, she was completely normal. She moved around the kitchen, making coffee, humming a little tune like nothing was wrong. The casual innocence was the most painful part. She noticed me staring and asked if everything was okay. I forced a smile. "I love you," I said. I wanted to see her reaction. Her eyes flickered with something guilt, maybe fear for just a split second before she looked away, and that was it. That was all the confirmation I needed. I didn't bring up what I saw. There was no point in a screaming match. Instead, I started planning my exit quietly and methodically. I began gathering my important documents, changing passwords on shared accounts, and moving my money into a separate bank account. I was meticulous, careful not to disrupt her routine or give her any reason to suspect that I knew. One evening, she said she was tired and was going to bed early. A few minutes after she walked away, her phone buzzed on the counter. A message preview popped up on the lock screen from a name I didn't recognize. "Miss you already," it said. I pulled out my phone and took a quick photo of the screen. I didn't touch her phone or try to read more. I didn't need to. The picture was enough. The next day, I made an appointment with a lawyer. He explained everything clearly and calmly, the process, my rights, what to expect. Hearing it all laid out like a business transaction made the whole situation feel real for the first time. It wasn't just a betrayal anymore. It was a legal proceeding. I went home feeling strangely peaceful, like I had finally taken back control. She arrived later than usual that night. I pretended to be asleep when she came into the bedroom. I listened to her shower, her footsteps sounding heavier than normal, as if she was carrying the weight of her own guilt. The following morning, over breakfast, I asked her, "Are you happy?" She froze for a moment, her coffee cup halfway to her lips, before forcing a smile. "Of course, everything's fine," she said, her voice a little too bright. "Why do you ask?" I looked at her directly. "I just think people can be unhappy and still pretend otherwise." Her eyes darted away, and she quickly changed the topic to something about work. That afternoon, I took the final step. I packed her belongings. I folded her clothes neatly, placed her toiletries in a bag, and put everything into a large suitcase. I placed it by the front door. When she came home, she saw the suitcase immediately. A look of confusion crossed her face. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice cautious. I looked at her calmly. "We need to talk," I said, "and we need to do it without shouting or lying." She sat down slowly on the edge of the couch, already trembling. I didn't raise my voice. I just told her, "I know about the other man." She denied it at first, the lies coming automatically, but her voice cracked and she stopped trying. The fight went out of her. Tears spilled down her cheeks, but for the first time, her tears didn't move me. I showed her the photo of her car outside his house, the photo of the message on her phone. She collapsed into silent, heaving sobs, repeating over and over again how sorry she was. I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I simply said, "I deserved honesty. You didn't give me that. You chose someone else." She begged for another chance, pleading that it was all just a mistake. "A mistake is something you regret immediately," I told her, my voice steady. "It's not something you repeat night after night." She tried to hug me, to reach for me, but I stepped back. "This relationship ended the moment you walked into that house with him." She finally realized I was serious. The pleading stopped. I handed her the suitcase and the signed separation papers I had prepared. She looked around our home, our life, like she was seeing it all for the last time. She whispered that she still loved me. I just looked at her and replied, "Love requires loyalty." "You broke that." She walked out slowly, crying softly as the front door clicked shut behind her. The silence that filled the apartment was heavy at first, oppressive, but then after a few minutes it transformed. It became peaceful. I walked through the house and opened all the windows, letting the cool evening air flow through. It felt like I was physically clearing out the space where all the lies had been lingering. For the first time in months, I felt like I could actually breathe. I sat down on the couch and just let the quiet settle around me. It didn't feel lonely. It felt like a beginning,